තමයි. මම හිතන්නේ ආයස්මතුන්ලගේ වීර්ය වැඩි වෙලා දැන් නේද? ඒක උදව් වෙයි. හොඳයි. බොහොම සතුටුයි. කුටි ඉදිත් සිහිපත් වෙනවා. බොහොම සතුටුයි. මම හිතන ධර්මයෙන් හරිය ධම්ම ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ එකපාරක් මම යාපනයේ ඉඳන් අපසට වඩිනකොට දැනගත්ත කොයි හරි කුටියට වැඩියම මේ රැක් ගත කරලා වැල්දුවේ. එතකොට මේ දැක්කල ගම් කොයි හරි තුරේ ඉඳන් වඩිනවා නේද කියලා කියන්නේ අර දැන් මෙහෙම ගොල්කෝ වගේ නෙමෙයි. මේ වැඩියම බොහොම පස්සේ ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ පාලියෙන් ගාතාවක් කිව්වා වීර්ය වඩනකොට ශාසනය තුළ කවදාකවත් අපතේ යන්නේ නැති හැටි. ඒක කොච්චර උදව් වෙනවද? හොඳයි. කොච්චර කිලෝමීටර් කොහෙන්ද ගලක් වෙලින්ද? කොහෙද මම කළේ? කොහෙද කොහෙද? මේ පැත්තට තියෙනවද පාරක්? They are gone, they came here walking from forest area, and I was remembering in my kuti just now, and I was very happy. This is what you should go, with this Dhamma knowledge as a monk actually, and actually this is done in Thailand a lot as Tudong, the forest Tudong tradition, but not this. They have teachings told by other teachers, mostly. They read a bit maybe, but it's also kinds of techniques of different ajans. They call ajan. So I wish they mixed it with this, because this is most important. It's not, but this is also not. This is not. It's not very worthwhile if they don't practice like this. So they both have to go together. So I'm very happy. Well, I would always appreciate anyone doing this. Will give me so much joy and little bit guilt also. These days I'm not doing it very much, but I hope to do it very soon. I'm planning to come from Colombo at least here, but on my behalf you all have done it. I'm very happy. Never give up this. And remembering Bante until he was 81 years old. And finally the Pindapata, he went just close by areas, he couldn't really go. No one knows, he doesn't tell anybody his things to keep to himself. This other teacher, he's the one who, what I'm now telling you all, how the way to read the suttas, all what he's told me. Then I was 22 years old when this thing was given, what I'm giving to you all. And that was a life-changing, not only life, I don't know, it's like my soul changed completely. And that's why this is very important. After that, I hope you don't need to search anywhere. Hopefully, just see. Very good. Keep yourself alone somewhere and read and contemplate in the walking meditation. I'm very happy to see you all doing that. That's all you have to do. And there's another gentleman, he's not here. I think Adavi කියන්නේ මහත්තයා තමයි මේක හැදුවේ. මේක ඔක්කොම හදපු මහත්තයෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඒ මහත්තයා තමයි ඒ මහත්තයාත් ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා. මම කිව්වා රිට්‍රීට් එකට මම එන්න ඕනේ. They must come to the retreat who made this this thing I can give. So they are finally managed before they get too old and unable to Like my father now, it's not possible for him even to come or visit or do anything like that. How much fit we have been, suddenly we are going to come to a state. I know even one gentleman, one of my relations actually, about 5 years back he told me that so many, I call that, in the swimming pool he's doing so many laps, and daily he's doing so fit and all that. But suddenly, 2 years or 3 years back, 2 years I think, suddenly I had not much contact with. Then I found out that suddenly this weakness have come. So it's not a physical, you have to prepare mentally and your lifestyle actually. Your lifestyle, which is complete, you must not make it hectic, and you must make sure you have kaya viveka, but not with laziness where you are sleeping or entertaining yourself. No, not like that. Kaya viveka, to be more focused, more mindful. This is the most important thing. The secret of any success will be how much you can enhance focus, ability to focus. And now we have a special focus we have to add to the focus, wise focus. Where we are seeing the finer truths of our being in that moment. That means whenever we are having some, like when we let go, now say I'm walking or coming, anything, it feels you peaceful, just makes you unconcerned. You just let go this body completely. It has never been yours, it's not mine. And any feelings that you will experience, perceptions. So that should practically give you an immediate feeling of, happiness. Freedom from anxiety. And just you will walk very peaceful. Just one verse, one sutta. But they should, when you are repeatedly doing it, it should come to a very different levels of experience of it, as an intuitive experience. That's what we have. But if you work on those lines only, it will happen. Otherwise it will not happen. Even if you read just one sutta, two suttas, it won't do. I know I want to stress this. Gnanaloka Sutta. That is also in that book. Okay. Good, yes. So that sutta, we can go through that, or be in that, the Bhikkhunis were told one particular sutta. It is all about vipassana. And vipassana means like it shows the it actually shows the internal organ and the external organs. Based on that only you get the experiences of consciousness and feeling. And then you see the internal organ and the external organs are like impermanent and changeable and fragile. So then how can you think that the experience that you get out of it will be solid and permanent? It's not possible. Like that, a way of looking at things, it is given like that, and gives a nice simile, of the cow, the skin has been taken out, and then you take it and put it back. You can't put it back. So it's like that. If you take away the desire in between is the tendons that are, keeping the skin and the flesh. So if you cut it, and then after, if you destroy the desire cannot come back again. Something like this, right? In India, in another world for so many, always got a little bit of the Dhamma, but better than before. Now it's getting better. Sometimes I lose any kind of thinking also. Even so, that's very nice. Then what happened? The reason I want to tell this is that this sutta, they were all happy, the Bhikkhunis. Then the Buddha says the same sutta to be told, the discourse to be told next day. When Arahant, when he preached second time, they attained arhatship and sotapanna and all. Before that, they had not attained anything. They were happy with knowing the Dhamma. So that repetition, so I can see the wisdom of Bhante, why he put us to read the entire Skandhavagga. And there's another one to change the approach again, so that there's something happening there. I will not tell you now, but it's like Salayatana Varga, like this. And so that is the brain being bought in a certain way. So you should keep on reading. Don't expect anything. I'm just telling you all these things like from outside. Don't think about it too much like that also. Just keep reading. And have faith in the Buddha. Time to time go refuge to the Buddha. Not too long telling gathas. You think of his golden feet and his karuna that he brought this to the world. And think that I am going to be your master. And when you're reading, you're continuously in contact with the Buddha, master. And then and do the anapana, metta and anapanasati to time, say 1 hour and then start reading. Like that 1 hour and then. So mixing like that, nothing to worry. And in Sakman, especially reading a bit, and in the Sakman you have to learn to apply. That is where you might get something clear. Sakman is not to be observed. Maybe you got into a habit of where you're, too much focusing on the immediate experiences or sensations or any kind of feelings that are happening very grossly. So do it only 1 minute, or not 1 minute, few seconds only, that kind of attention. Then you have to awaken a special contemplative faculty in your brain. Okay? Which is equal to the time with the Buddha's time, how those people who attain that same thing. There's no difference. So this can't be modified in any form. And with some confidence only, this I'm telling also, I'm not going to lie or some kind of humbug about this. No. So many years I have been telling about read this sutta. It's not just that I'm telling. When I was young, I had very clear this thing. The others I'm facing all these type of different, I would say miracles or some kind of energies, but I'm not seeing that. I see the temporariness of that, and I don't see finality on this journey through those things. They will help, support, of course, if you can turn it to this. But you can easily get much more distracted and because it gives you immediate samadhi part of it. But there is something here. And I explain about, how Bhante used to tell how the Arahant, he can focus to the last breath. This is very much connected with when you're reading now, how the skandhas and the tanna with the skandhas, how they are like keeping the consciousness going. And when you remove the tanna, how the nutrients to the consciousness slowly die away. Okay, this is very nice connection that you could, it will help you as you go on. It's very, very spiritually and profoundly logical, and intuitively it will become profoundly so much true. How our rebirth could be stopped. How our rebirth will, when the causes have been taken away. Okay? What I'm telling is something clear, I hope, clear to everybody. If that's not clear, tell me, then I might try to tell it in English. I'm not sorry, Sinhalese. If no Sinhalese, I don't know which other language. Is everybody there? While you are now in solitude, like first 2, 3, 4 days, sleepiness might come more. Okay? All kind of sensual thoughts can come up. Very long ago memories. So I remember my teacher when he used to tell me before going to the jungle, that time I was 18 years old, and the first advice, I was always telling I want to go to the jungle, and then I got a chance to go to Kalugala. And when I was going, I never forget his first advice, if these 5 things are established, you may go. He told me like that. What are the 5 things he told me? Metta Bhavana. And Buddha Dhamma Sangha, this is one, right? Buddha Dhamma Sangha, Trividaratna, the refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. And some theoretical knowledge about the Dhamma. And I think Marananusati maybe, but I remember. And Asubha Bhavana, yes. That's right. And I never forget when I entered the jungle, in the forest, suddenly, and you had to walk a long way those days. Pahala was so, I can't remember the path. So then I used to walk and suddenly it changes, all jungle and all that. Then some kind of a little bit fear came. Then I remember suddenly the metta came to help me about snakes or something like that. And then suddenly in the kuti when sometime sensual thoughts which I never imagined, they start to come. And suddenly I remember how Bhante was telling, I never expected this kind of, and like that, they'll help you, don't worry, fear or anything. Some things which will be very uncontrollable, then go to the Bodhi tree, okay, recite Sutra. I don't see this group, there's the different, how come the group is big. Okay, 42, page 42. Let's go into this. Because if one has an underlying tendency towards something, then one is reckoned in terms of it. If one does not have an underlying tendency towards something, then one is not reckoned in terms of it. Understood, Blessed One, understood, Fortunate One. In what way, Bhikkhu, do you understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by me in brief? If, Venerable Sir, one has an underlying tendency towards form, then one is reckoned in terms of it. If one has an underlying tendency towards feeling, then one is reckoned in terms of it. If one has an underlying tendency towards perception, then one is reckoned in terms of it. If one has an underlying tendency towards volitional formations, then one is reckoned in terms of it. If one has an underlying tendency towards consciousness, then one is reckoned in terms of it. If, Venerable Sir, one does not have an underlying tendency towards form, then one is not reckoned in terms of it. If one does not have an underlying tendency towards feeling, towards perception, towards volitional formations, towards consciousness, then one is reckoned in terms of it. Is not reckoned in terms of it. It is in such a way, Venerable Sir, that I understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by the Best One. Good. Underlying tendency means you have attachment. Then when you have an attachment to body, feelings, what you are going through, then you become that, you are that. You think you are that also. So when you don't have attachment and an inclination to identify, that means your craving is also less or absent. And this is how it's related to this. So you have to mentally picture yourself and feel relaxed, like letting go your own sort of body, and it may be the wind coming from the fan. There's no fan, only that behind they have fan. No, what they do, they also have. Right behind there is, 2 fans. Now the hot season will be starting. Those days it was rainy, very cold. This place will be, I don't know, maybe it will be quite cool relative to other places. Anyway, they will all help you. So if the fan is touching you, immediately there's a feeling very prominent, the wind touching you, So whatever feeling you're getting, you should, and the feeling you're getting from the touch of it, you should be able to see it as something alien to you, not of yours. This you have to be applied to yourself. When you're applying this kind of practice, mentally visualizing, you see, you'll be unfocused. Someone looking at you also will notice that. I one day checked one, as I told you, old gentleman yesterday I was telling, like this old gentleman who had gone for many retreats, so he was used to that, lifting the leg and putting the leg down. This kind of practice with the touch, observing the touch of the soul maybe, and also sometimes then in that way you are having a different kind of awareness, it's also awareness, but this one is internally. It's more like you're harnessing your deep thinking, which is very rare in this modern time. It's not very much done. It's sometimes some people deep thinking, that's where so deepness come automatically when you have samadhi, because already you have coming away from five hindrances. That means you're gone within oneself, and that is a very big prerequisite to have that wisdom brain start to work. So with that samadhi and with more calmness, peacefulness, when you read, then only it starts to work. That's why you don't try to understand, it's not good. If you don't understand, skip that. Do little samadhi, chant a bit. Like that, when you refine yourself, it just comes, that's how it should come. Suddenly it becomes, you're able to do that exercise of contemplating. But you must try at least. When you keep on trying, and when your lifestyle also becomes peaceful, pure, then suddenly you find that, like what you call that, wow experience. Yeah, it happens like that. It's not like some thing, but really it gives you faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. This is the real sign that is. Then 44, page 44. If Ananda, they were to ask you, friend Ananda, what are the things of which an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, alteration of that which stands is discerned? Being asked thus, how would you answer? Venerable Sir, if they were to ask me this, I would answer thus. Friends, with the form, an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, and alteration of that which now. When you are reading also, this lot of visualizing mentally should happen. Then only so any kind of form, it has a kind of a, you could mentally just slightly note. Arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, and alteration of that which stands is discerned. Being asked thus, how would you answer? Venerable Sir, if they were to ask me this, I would answer thus. Friends, with form, an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, and alteration of that which stands is discerned. You can picture your own body also, or anything, any object, with the idea of letting go. This is all with the purpose of letting go. And you should feel immediately some peacefulness when you are doing that. With feelings, perceptions, volitional formations, consciousness, and arising is discerned. That mental picture should be there, like Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. Like outside you are just, like you draw in a picture. Sometimes you can draw different colors for Rupa. Vedana, blue color maybe. Vedana, Sanya, red color, or something like this. Not too much like that, but some mental picture that Vedana like this, you must note it. This is how you build up that thinking. Venerable Sir, if they were to ask me thus, I would answer, friends, with form an arising is discerned, the vanishing is discerned, and alteration of that which stands is discerned. With feeling, with perception,
volitional formations, consciousness, and arising is discerned. A vanishing is discerned. An alteration of that which stands is discerned. These now, when you're now even always consciousness is there mostly. Consciousness, feelings, perception, and all. So there's one part in your all your experiences that you call consciousness. That may be the initial awareness or whatever. So that you must immediately tell, not contemplate as when it is said. It can't be seen or heard or something. It is in your mind only as a scientist. Some kind of that kind of way only you are thinking about this. It's a very scientific also. I would call this spiritual theoretical mathematics. No? Yeah. It might be the correct. Venerable sir, if they were to ask me this, I would answer thus: friends, with form and arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alteration of that which stands is discerned. With feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, and arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alteration of that which stands is discerned. These friends are the things of which an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alteration of that which stands is discerned. Being asked thus, Venerable sir, I would answer in such a way: good Ananda, with form Ananda, an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alteration of that which stands is discerned. With feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alteration of that which stands is discerned. These Ananda are the things of which an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alteration of that which stands is discerned. You ask, you should answer such a way. Going to the, I think the past, present, future like this. Okay. Second one there. Friend Ananda, what are the things of which an arising was discerned? Now whatever you remember, you can apply it to that also. What you might remember, don't too much, all things happen, this thing happened. That's why Buddha Dhamma is called in English, this thing called phenomenology, right? Study of phenomenology. It's quite correct. Study of phenomenology, phenomena. So you are just trying to, get the idea of the impermanence of whatever rose in the past, this same thing happened. And in the future, it will happen. So what to say about the present like that? What are the things of which an arising will be discerned, a vanishing will be discerned, an alteration of that which stands will be discerned? What are the things of which an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alteration of that which stands is discerned? Being asked thus, Ananda, how would you answer? Venerable sir, if they were to ask me this, I would answer thus: friends, with form that has passed, ceased, changed, an arising was discerned, a vanishing was discerned, an alteration of that which stands was discerned. So you must learn to apply. Maybe today in the morning how we met, you can just put to that. Whatever form, feelings, perceptions, there was an arising, I came here maybe, and then stayed for some time. If you take it even that part, then I left. Okay? So even if you take it in a sort of a span of time, this way, whatever has experienced, now you know it has passed, but you are now trying to be more awareness of that passing away. That's how Buddha is trying to create that awareness. Then only that wisdom starts to arise about life, about our experiences. Venerable sir, if they were to ask me thus, I would answer: friends, with form that has passed, ceased, changed, and arising was discerned, a vanishing was discerned, an alteration of that which stands was discerned. With feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness that has passed, ceased, changed, and arising was discerned, a vanishing was discerned, an alteration of that which stands was discerned. So when you do like that, you apply it there, And you use it to let go that, not to have any baggage, that means memories of attachment or resentment. If some gati may happen, or if some attachments happen, it could happen. So any memories like that, you just learn to see that it just is finished, all finished now. It finished there and then, it's no more. It does not exist. Change and arising was discerned, a vanishing was discerned, and alteration of that which stands was discerned. It is of these things, friends, that an arising was discerned, that a vanishing was discerned, that an alteration of that which stands was discerned. Friends, with form that has not been born, that is in the future, not become manifest, and arising will be discerned. Or vanishing will be discerned. When you are calmly, quietly contemplating, you will be noticing your breathing also. That's one sign that you're properly relaxingly contemplating with the kaya awareness. The body awareness will also come naturally if you're doing the proper. Otherwise, if you're doing like a scatter kind of thinking or kind of muttering thinking, you must learn to discern from that, where you're coming to the moment, relaxing, and then trying to figure out like thinking. This. Friends, with form that has not been born, not become manifest, and arising will be discerned. A vanishing will be discerned. An alteration of that which stands will be discerned. With feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness that has not been born, not become manifest, and arising will be discerned. A vanishing will be discerned. An alteration of that which stands will be discerned. So you will know anything you might experience. Maybe you are waiting for something when you leave the retreat, or maybe you are waiting for something, anything, after retreat to do something, or expecting some after many years to achieve or something. When you begin to know that is something that is going to arise, and you contemplate like this, you will lose all wanting of such a thing. So that anticipation, desire for the future will also diminish. Your mind will become extremely peaceful. These exercises will make you do, if you attain Nibbana doing this, how much peaceful you will become. You will become supreme bliss. Discerned, the vanishing will be discerned, an alternation of that which stands will be discerned. It is of these things, friends, that an arising will be discerned, that a vanishing will be discerned, that an alternation of that which stands will be discerned. Friends, with form that has been born, that has become manifest, an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alternation of that which stands is discerned. With feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, that has been born, that has become manifest, an arising is discerned, a vanishing is discerned, an alternation of that which stands is discerned. That's about the present. It is of these things, friends, that an arising is discerned, that a vanishing is discerned, that an alternation of that which stands is discerned. Being asked thus, Venerable Sir, I would answer in such a way. Good Anand. I remember many years back with my teacher when I was going through these exercises and practices, even in dream the Anitya Sanya is to come. That's the good old days, I would say. It comes so subconsciously, this thing, and that like a flickering of Anitya Sanya, that is, those days, it was very interesting. So, it becomes a Sanya. It will become a sanya, it has to mature to that. So when you are going repeatedly, it will start to work. Next one also, bhikkhu. When a bhikkhu is practicing in accordance with the Dhamma, this is what accords with the Dhamma. He should dwell engrossed in revulsion towards form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness. One who dwells engrossed in revulsion towards form, feelings, perception, and consciousness fully understands form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness. So someone who has too much attachment to body, feelings, perceptions cannot understand. That's why to some extent we leave people who we are attached to. We leave things and people to help our understanding to arise in us. So when we attach to something, our judgment of it gets blurred. So we have to, even that's why we are reducing food and everything, sleep, food, and sense impressions, so that this all creating attachment, this stimulate attachment. So when you reduce this, we are creating the possibility within our brain to actually to create that realization, vipassana to happen. It's not possible. Someone who is so engrossed in sin, he will intellectually think all things, but not become that understanding within oneself will never happen. It's not possible. That's why we know quite well that we have a definite standard of purity and detachment when you have samadhi. Pancha nivaranas are absent when your mind is prabhashara, with piti, free from the hindrances. Then there's great possibility of attaining that supreme vipassana, the supreme insight, at a level of bojjhanga, sati sambojjhanga, Dhamma vicaya bojjhanga. It's a possibility. There are doorways to attaining marga, because it really clears, it makes quite sure that you have that mental atmosphere for that intuition to happen. My Bhakti used to tell those days, they are openings. But I don't say that's really necessary. If it comes, let it come. Otherwise, don't create the causes for it, and that's it. Causes are sila, mindfulness, and all these things. 48. And what bhikkhus is the way leading to the origination of identity. Here bhikkhus, the uninstructed worldling, regards form as self, feeling as self, perception as self, volitional formation as self, consciousness as self, or self as inconsciousness. This bhikkhu is called the way leading to the origination of identity. When it is said the way leading to the origination of identity, the meaning here is this: a way of regarding things that leads to the origination of suffering. And what bhikkhus is the way leading to the cessation of identity. Here bhikkhus, the instructed noble disciple, does not regard form as self, nor feeling as self, nor perception as self, nor volitional formation as self, nor consciousness as self, nor self as inconsciousness. This bhikkhu is called the way leading to the cessation of identity. When it is said the way leading to the cessation of identity, the meaning here is this: a way of regarding things that leads to the cessation of suffering. Now, I'm remembering a very nice thing. Some used to explain, ask an explanation. What happens to a Tathagata, the Buddha, when he dies? There are 4 views normally that, if you're talking and if you're with the idea of, if you're entangled with views, you will try to find solution or an answer through a view. One is that the Tathagata, you remember, this is like after a long time, Tathagata completely annihilates. The Tathagata completely live forever. And the Tathagata, both happen. Something like this, no? Or none of these two, right? Let me get it properly. But then there's a way Buddha says how he explains. Now, what you say as Tathagata or anybody is Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vinyana. Okay? Panchupadanaskandha. Without Panchupadanaskandha, you don't get an idea of anybody. Now, Buddha says, I have told you in a certain way. How? What do I say about Rupa? Is it permanent or impermanent? He asks like this. So, the monks used to answer, impermanent. If it is impermanent, is it happiness or sadness? It is sadness, suffering. Because if it's bound to end, it's going to be suffering. So if something is anitya and dukkha, impermanent and suffering, can you call this is me, this I, this myself? So while the Tathagata is living also, you can't find a person. What to say of what happens after dying? So then it's nicely explained the second way. The rupa is, body form is impermanent and suffering. So what has ended when parinirvana, or when the death of, not death, the parinirvana of the Buddha, Mahaparinirvana of the Buddha takes place, is what was suffering has ended. That there's no arising of rupa, vedana, sanya means there's no arising of suffering. This is how it should be looked at. So this type of thinking you have to know after a long time is coming to my mind. But this line of thinking you have to get familiarized. There only you will see Nibbana, what Nibbana is. Or experience, or understand. There's nothing to see there. Okay, there are sutras that explain this. I wish I could come to that because it just come to my mind very. I think whether the Tathagata lives after the Mahaparinirvana or does not live, or both, or some views like this. 4 views, they're always like that. Any kind of view comes because of attachment, the delusion. All that is cleared. Okay, page 50. Way of regarding things. Here bhikkhus, the uninstructed worldling, who is not a seer of the noble ones and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma, who is not a seer of superior persons and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma, regards form as self, or self as possessing form, or form as in self, or self as in form. He regards feeling as self, perception as self, polishing formation as self, consciousness as self, or self as possessing consciousness, or consciousness as in self, or self as in consciousness. Thus this way of regarding things and the notion I am have not vanished in him. As I am has not vanished, there takes place a descent of 5 faculties. Of the eye faculty, ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, the body faculty. There is because the mind, there are the mental phenomena. There is the element of ignorance. When the uninstructed worldling is contacted by feeling, born of ignorant contact, I am occurs to him. How the eyes from I am occurs to him. When the uninstructed worldling is contacted by feeling, born of ignorance contact, I am accursed to him. I am this accursed to him. I will be and I will not be. And I will consist of form and I will be formless. And I will be percipient and I will be non-percipient. And I will be neither percipient nor non-percipient. These occur to him. The five faculties remain right there, because but in regard to them, the instructed noble disciple abandons ignorance and arouses true knowledge. With the fading away of ignorance and the rising of true knowledge, I am does not occur to him. I am this does not occur to him. I will be and I will not be. And I will consist of form and I will be formless. And I will be percipient and I will be non-percipient. And I will be neither percipient nor non-percipient. These do not occur to him. Page 52. Sona, when any ascetic and Brahmins on the basis of form, which is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, regard themselves thus, I am superior, or I am equal, or I am inferior. What is that due to apart from not seeing things as they really are? When any ascetic and Brahmin on the basis of feeling, on the basis of perception, on the basis of volitional formations, on the basis of consciousness, which is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, regard themselves thus, I am superior, or I am equal, or I am inferior. What is that due to apart from not seeing things as they really are? So now when any ascetics and Brahmins do not, on the basis of form, which is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, regard themselves thus, I am superior, or I am equal, or I am inferior. What is that due to apart from seeing things as they really are? When any ascetic and Brahmin do not, on the basis of feeling, on the basis of perception, on the basis of volitional formations, on the basis of consciousness, which is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, regard themselves thus, I am superior, or I am equal, or I am inferior. What is that due to apart from seeing things as they really are? What do you think, Sona? Is form permanent or impermanent? Venerable says impermanent. They are cut short that, okay, you have to think, you have to go through that line of thinking. It is impermanent, suffering. Is what is impermanent, suffering or happiness? Suffering, Venerable says. Is what is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded thus. This is mine, this I am, this is myself. No, Venerable says. Is feeling permanent or impermanent? Is perception permanent or impermanent? You must put it to yourself immediately. You are made up of all these things. And when you apply to yourself, you want it to do anything and your desires or concern about the world to become something, to do something, will fade away. That will become a big release. You're coming close to Nibbana. It's by this thinking, analyzing, really making a good firm. That's why you have to really focus on this. If you have to think about family, office or aranyas or people or like that, you can't do this. You have to, when you're really getting focused, you're getting the effect of it. You're letting go. It will be so blissful. I wish you that bliss, actually. Don't delay this. Don't delay this. No one will be your friend. This will be your friend. This ability to let go, to be focused on the truth. Thank you for your all. It's polishing this thing again. But it is in me. I told you in Badrinath, in Kailash, it was in 2015. When I knew I might leave this body because I was having altitude sickness in a very serious way, and I was like, pulling, I didn't know how long you can go like that. For hours, can you do that? No. Then immediately the practice came to see this as Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara. To hold to it, to look at it. That was 2015. So this is the final thing you can find it, but not to do it. This will also happen if you're having some habit of it. It will not come suddenly. If it's powerful, and definitely it will make you less anxious and you can face death easily. You will not die if you properly do it. You will die less. You will not identify with what dies. But this should happen anyway. You must apply to all situations. It will happen automatically if someone is shouting, if someone is praising you. All these things. Food is tasty, not tasty. Anything. The weather is hot, cold. All that you can apply. But it's not, the realization will not come when you're applying it in a gross way. But you're at least making your mind used to that thinking, that type of manasikara. It will not become yoniso manasikara yet. When you are free from this kind of gross influence, and like now you're here peacefully, when you're doing sakman or somewhere, then only that's a possibility will come for the yoniso manasikara to happen. Where you are not disturbed by anything, you are very freely, then you are going into a deeper possibility there for you to go to a deeper type of experience. Virajam Vitamana Dhammacham. That's why it's called Vidamana, free from any kind of impurities. So pure that Aryans, that you become an Aryan of course. This is the Arya Bhumi of that wisdom. This is mentally seeing that. That's why there were monks at the Buddha's time who knew so much Dhamma, but they had not experienced this at all. Buddha called them to change them. Potila, no? Tutta Potila also. So, but there was one monk who used to recite one gatha, which he mentally picture means he has already got this deep, pure experience. So this is what we are now trying to, encourage ourselves and others to get that particular experience and to harness that special faculty within us, that special nerve in the brain, which is, I would think, is in the front. Of course, all the thinking, all that happens in the frontal cortex part, but you can't do any manipulation here and get it. This can only happen by, less stimulating the reptilian brain, and as I told you, blue light and all this artificial light, be with nature and calming your cells and your entire body and getting to samadhi more, then for sure you are coming closer to that possibility. Okay, 55, page 55. Engagement. Yeah, this finally build up to engagement. Before marriage, this word engagement, it starts from small things, Rupaskandhas to some might have, like I was at one stage, like a borderline, don't know what will happen. Luckily I was not interested in those things. I kept on practicing. That's all. Things will happen, whatever that might happen. And when I keep practicing, and then the path will be formed. So, Bhante also encouraged that, because that is the only thing. Maybe one might have some karma, that's okay. That's why we see through the parents, and then, but you continue whenever you have. Things change. Things can really change so much. Things can change other way also. If you may not have the destiny to get married or something like that, but you might not practice, then you might get married. You might have the destiny to get married and you are continue practicing. You might not. But that doesn't guarantee. Practicing will guarantee. Harmonizing with whatever boat you have, you learn to pedal to the other shore. But who is pedaling will cross. Who is not pedaling, even if there are ropes or whatever, no, it will not happen. So it's an easy solution. You don't have to wonder too much. Things will just, Dhamma will look after you. Dhamma will look after your future. You are only increasing your focus power, the mindfulness ability. So nothing can put you down. Any defilement can really put you down. Then the destiny is in your hands. This is all very important, Increase your focus power, the ability to stay in the present moment. So new word for sati, right? Focus. Is it? Does it? Do you think it's focusing, ability to focus, mindfulness, sati, mindfulness and focus. Because, sorry, close to samadhi. Okay, yeah, focus. Because I did hear this from another, they are very nice, they are really stressing these points. And when you have time, when you go back, I told you, grim hustler. If you are touching this thing, but make sure you are not for real good reasons using the phone, knowing that blue light and all these things going to damage, just for your work purpose, limit like that. Really make a strict thing, otherwise you're going to, your general lifestyle, how you spend your day, how you use, harness your energies to realize this. This is very important, because day by day will go, and you will have bad habits, you're not going to achieve anything. You have good habits, you're going to do something going to come out of you automatically. Okay, 55. One who is disengaged is liberated. Consciousness because one who is engaged is unliberated. One who is disengaged is liberated. Consciousness because while standing might stand engaged with form, based upon form, established upon form. With a sprinkling of delight, it might come to growth, increase and expansion. Or consciousness while standing might stand engaged with feeling, engaged with perception, engaged with mental formations. Based upon volitional formations, established upon volitional formations, with a sprinkling of delight, it might come to growth, increase and expansion. Because though someone might say, apart from form, apart from feeling, apart from perception, apart from volitional formations, I will make known the coming and going of consciousness, its passing away and rebirth, its growth, increase and expansion. That is impossible. You see, the consciousness, it does not, these are the parts of consciousness, Vedanas, feelings, perceptions and like this. So they are always there in a moment of consciousness. Whenever you are conscious through your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body or mind, that feeling, perception is there. They are the factors of consciousness. So Buddha is the only person who actually shows those small differences in their, could say, functions also in that. Shades or function. There are some difference in function for Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, but they are in it, in one part. Okay? So, it's passing away and rebirth. Because if a bhikkhu has abandoned lust for the form element, with the abandoning of lust, the basis is cut off. there is no support for establishing of consciousness. Now you can relate to what Bhante was telling, how you can focus completely where to any nimitta won't come, object will not come at the moment of death. So if he has abandoned lust for feeling element, for the perception element, for the volitional formation element, for the consciousness element, with the abandoning of lust, the basis is cut off. There is no support for establishing consciousness. Okay? Just imagine someone fully desireless person. This is all working with desire, this whole thing. When that consciousness is unestablished, not coming to growth, non-generative, it is liberated, it is free. By being liberated, it is steady. By being steady, it is content. By being content, he is not agitated. Being unagitated, he personally attains Nibbana. He understands, destroyed his birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. Because there are these 5 kinds of seeds. What 5? Root seeds, stem seeds, joint seeds, cutting seeds, and germ seeds as the 5th. If these 5 kinds of seeds are unbroken, unspoiled, undamaged by wind and sun, fertile, securely planted, but there is no earth or water, would these 5 kinds of seeds come to growth, increase and expansion? No, Venerable Sir. If these 5 kinds of seeds are broken, spoiled, damaged by wind and sun, unfertile, not securely planted, but there is earth and water, would these 5 kinds of seeds come to growth, increase and expansion? No, Venerable Sir. If these 5 kinds of seeds are unbroken, unspoiled, undamaged by wind and sun, fertile, securely planted, and there is earth and water, would these 5 kinds of seeds come to growth, increase and expansion? Yes, Venerable Sir. Because the 4 stations of consciousness should be seen as like the earth element. Delight and lust should be seen as like the water element. Consciousness together with its nutriment should be seen as like the 5 kinds of seeds. Consciousness, because by standing my stand, engage with form, based upon form, established upon form. With a sprinkling of delight, it might come to growth, increase and expansion. Or consciousness by standing my stand, engage with feeling, engage with perception, engage with volitional formations. Based upon volitional formations, established upon volitional formations, with a sprinkling of delight, it might come to growth, increase. So if you keep on giving at enjoying something, doing something, that thing will keep on growing. Okay? So now if you do this, letting go, and like this, if you keep on doing this, this will grow. Analyzing, being mindful, becoming aware of the nature of what we are holding on to. When we begin to, that we start to grow. So that is a type of, that brings wisdom. The opposite of consciousness will be wisdom. Okay, you have consciousness. This always comes with delusion, lobha, dvesha, moha is there. Because though someone might say, apart from form, apart from feeling, apart from perception, apart from volitional formations, I will make known the coming and going of consciousness. Its passing away and rebirth is growth, increase and expansion. That is impossible. I think we read that in the word of the Buddha. This was taken from this part of the sutta. Okay? That is again nice. It's emphasizing how Vedanas, feelings, perceptions, they are all part in the consciousness. You can't separate it, or you can't... Because if a bhikkhu has abandoned lust for the form element, with the abandoning of lust, the basis is cut off. There is no support for the establishment of consciousness. Now, I know many people try to get the explanation of what is this form, like the form and the rupa, and the the faculty, the eye, and then the manasikara and how it Thinnam Passati, they explain, no? How the consciousness arises. Yes, these are, don't take it too much. You know it happens like that. Don't try to get it from a word and a clear explanation of how it's going to function like that. Because you can't explain this. These are only signposts for you to, this is happening, this is true, this is real, that's all. You mentally have to know as like that. And then you must learn to analyze this analyzing part, what the Buddha is telling. You must try to do that. With the idea of letting go, with the idea of releasing it, not holding on to it. Then only the right thinking also will sort of synchronize with it. And both together, you're on the right path internally. If he has abandoned lust for the feeling element, for the perception element, for the volitional formation element, for the consciousness element, with the abandoning of lust, the basis is cut off. There is no support for establishing of consciousness. When that consciousness is unestablished, not coming to growth, non-generative, it is liberated. By being liberated, it is steady. By being steady, it is content. By being content, he is not agitated. Being unagitated, he personally attains Nibbana. He understands, destroyed his birth, the holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. Page 61 or page 60. And what bhikkhu is form? I'm jumping, the third one, two, three, the fourth paragraph. And what bhikkhus is form? The four great elements and the form derived from the four great elements, this is called form. With the rising of nutriment, there is the rising of form. With the cessation of nutriment, there is the cessation of form. Now in your Sakman meditation, you must, what you are now read like this, you must apply it. You must see how food is the cause of the body, and if the food is not given, the body will not arise. The Noble Eightfold Path is the way leading to the cessation of form. Whatever ascetic and Brahmins having thus directly known form, its origin, its cessation, and the way leading to the cessation, are practicing for the purpose of revulsion towards form, for its fading away and cessation. They are practicing well. Those who are practicing well have gained a foothold in the Dhamma and discipline. And what bhikkhu is feeling? I'm jumping, okay? There are these 6 classes of feeling. Feeling born of eye contact, feeling born of ear contact, feeling born of nose contact, feeling born of tongue contact, feeling born of body contact, feeling born of mind contact. This is called feeling. With the rising of contact, there is the rising of feeling. With the cessation of contact, there is the cessation of feeling. This Noble Eightfold Path is the way leading to the cessation of feeling. And And what bhikkhu is perception? There are these 6 classes of perception. Perception of forms, perception of sounds, perception of odors, perception of taste, perception of tactile objects, perception of mental phenomena. This is called perception. With the rising of contact, there is the rising of perception. With the cessation of contact, there is the cessation of perception. This Noble Eightfold Path is so even the touch of the wind, it is a perception. You perceive it as wind, okay, and as pleasant maybe. So that how does it come? Due to contact. This is the cause. When the wind starts blowing and stop blowing and not touching you, then that feeling that you experience as wind, it will not there. This is the cause. You must immediately look at this. And what bhikkhu are the volitional formations? There are these 6 classes of volition. Volition regarding forms, volition regarding sounds, volition regarding odors, volition regarding taste, volition regarding tactile objects, volition regarding mental phenomena. This is called volitional formations. With the rising of contact, there is the rising of volitional formations. With the cessation of contact, there is the cessation of volitional formations. Whatsoever ascetics and Brahmins, as those consuming one, there is no round of description. And what bhikkhu is consciousness? There are these 6 classes of consciousness: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness. So you must go through, when you are telling eye consciousness, mentally you must go to that. Okay? Ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, mind consciousness, this is called consciousness. With the rising of name and form, there is the rising of consciousness. With the cessation of name and form, there is the cessation of consciousness. Okay? This consciousness and name and form is like, it is said, they are like supporting each other. You can't like they say 2 books you keep like this, this is supporting this one, that is supporting the other one. So that could be interesting, the moment of death, we studied before that eye and object is necessary, these are all material. And with these 2 only, the eye consciousness arises. Okay? So, the Nama Rupa, without the Nama Rupa, you don't get consciousness. And without consciousness, you don't get Nama Rupa. Okay? Just you must know this. Body consciousness, mind consciousness, this is called consciousness. With the rising of name and form, there is the rising of consciousness. And you can know like this, Sankhara Pacca Vijnana. Okay? For the Nama Rupa, the Rupa part comes from the karma you have created. Sankhara is the karma you create. Okay? So if you stop creating karma whatsoever, you stop creating the Rupa part. Okay, form part. So how then only you are dismantling. You create the basis or the building blocks or the things you need for consciousness to arise. This also you can have an idea. Okay, it become clear certain way. Don't get it too clear also, but you must have some idea how this Paticcasamuppada there is working. Okay. With the rising of name and form, there is the rising of consciousness. With the cessation of name and form, there is the... That's why Kayam Puranam Kammam, Abhisankatam, Abhisanchetam. Body is the past Kamma, Puranam Kamma. What is Kamma? Buddha is explaining. Abhisankatam, Abhisanchetam. What you intentionally formed or reacted to. So it is normally for what you feel, what you perceive as pleasant, you react with greed. Unpleasant with aversion. What is neutral with delusion. This reaction is sankhara. If you only think, it becomes only just mano sankhara. And if you talk with that, it will be vachi sankhara. And if you act with that, it will be kaya sankhara. Sorry? I'm sorry, I'm getting old now. I don't think. Mic, there's another mic? No? You can come forward. Come apart? Not effect, it creates the rupa. It's the cause of the rupa, yes? Create the? Sorry, create the what? Consciousness. Yes, because when the rupa is there, consciousness is also there. So, this is only this one part, but when there's nama rupa, there's consciousness also. So, but we know directly this, especially for a mother's womb, initially that body to be formed, the kalala and all that to rise, that is past karma. And immediately there is that nama rupa and vijnana together. So, just to have a mental picture that sankara, the karma is the direct, which is responsible from thin air for material thing to form. That is from thin air, how does it form? What is the cause? But actually, karma is a kind of where it gives you kind of, if you are given suffering, you get suffering. So it's a whole picture, until feeling. Now with the body and this thing with the organs, the environment you are going through and the kind of context you are getting, if in short way, in a very simple way, you can say if you are to get painful feeling because you are given pain, then you get painful context. Then at a level of feeling only you are experiencing the full karma, but all other components which is necessary for consciousness to happen, they are also karma related. That is, main part is the body.
And earlier in the first sutta, when you explained that the first sutta this afternoon, you said that, say, for example, there's cuts in the leg. Then you try to imagine that the leg doesn't belong to you.
Not imagine, you can personally experience this when it is numb, when you are meditating or something, and if you don't see from your eyes also, you will not get the idea that whether කොහෙද මගේ කකුල කියලා වගේ හිතේ කකුලක් තියනවද කියලා හිතේ.
Yeah, what I'm coming to, when you say that it doesn't belong to me,
Yes.
then the knee is already there.
The
So that means,
idea of
so that means when you say it doesn't belong to me, then the knee is already there. So in that case, in other words, you accept the fact that there's a me already.
we are already having it naturally. We are already feeling the idea of me. So, but it's an illusion. But it comes in relation to, it comes with associating feelings. That's what I'm trying to stress. But the feeling, without feeling whatsoever, you will not get the idea of me at all. This is the main thing. So now with wisdom only we are trying to come out. But this way, by getting numb is not it's not coming as an understanding, a realization. But you can also see very clearly. When you don't feel, the idea of I does not come there. You will not get an identification with that. Sometimes you can be numb here, I don't know, anesthesia when they are done. Someone can do anything, but you will not, react or feel any connected with that.
My point is that when you say me, doesn't it mean that you are already accepted that there's me?
When you say verbally, you mean?
No, when you think like that.
Of course, but that doesn't mean there is really a me. Because you're thinking of a me, something that is changing to another thing. That's the reason. If it's not changing, it's true. But it's always changing. And you're thinking so, but it's not really there like that. That is... So, what bhikkhus is consciousness? There are these 6 classes of consciousness. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness. This is called consciousness. With the rising of name and form, there is the rising of consciousness. So what is very important in these things is to know that with this only this will arise. This is all the conditioned parts. It is very important to get that anitya insight. So not to know too much about, actually we don't need to we must have some idea, but it's a very deep, you can say, if you can remember to Upatissa Kolita, it was Ye Dhamma Hetu Pabhava Tesam Hetu Tathagata Tesam Chayo Nirodho Evam Vadi Mahasava. When he was asked, by Assaji Maharatan once said, to give in short form, Ye Dhamma, they were so ripe. Sariputta Maharatan was supposed to become later. Upadissa Kolita in Pratissa. When that very Ye Dhamma Hetu Pada, what will arise by cause, that condition, that very idea that, that some things arising by causes can trigger that insight. This is it's not like Jati Pacha Jara Maran, even that can trigger. They are all triggering actually. Jati Pacha Jara Maran, Bhava Pacha Jati. So this is like so many ways. When we get pure, that sight will come. We have to have some patience for that. But when we are now so much exposed to this thinking and getting slowly used to this thinking, the Buddha's thinking, then the possibility is coming. And with a purified life, now we are staying for 10 days. So I remember myself, the 14 days I stayed with Bante doing this, that time when I was 23 years. That particular time, as I told you, it was like a brainwash from all the conditioning of my own ideas and all that. When it was the 13th day, I remember it was the 14th of the full moon, 13th day I remember, suddenly I had some kind of, clarity of this. And in that situation, it came to my mind, this is the old Buddha. And all Buddhism now that is going on is not real. It is from our defiled mind that we are having all these ideas and things that we call Buddhism. Then it told to me, make a Parana Buddha, the old Buddha. This is the real Buddha, the suttas. It came to my mind, the sutta was. So actually after that I would never want to go to any other book or anything. And later on in Attanagalla I had some nice experiences. Just before I became monk, it inspired me so much. But that is also reading the suttas, keeping myself empty and peaceful. But after I become a monk, I had not much of the I don't want. But this is parami, I take it as a paramita, okay? It's not wasted or anything. I don't know why, because maybe I went with another intensity. But those things, those insights will never fade away from you. You know this is the way. There's no doubt about it. And you can't, it's not in your control. That time, like I don't know, it's just the suttas and the solitude and in that cave now they have made that cave, it was very helpful for me. So now you're getting that. That's why I'm telling you the type of practice I was practicing to keep alone, really keep alone, be serious. Now those days when I used to go to these aranyas, they think, the upasakas, they used to think like I have started like meditating today, because they see I'm so interested. They know I'm like nowhere. Just go for dhan and go silent, do my thing. And later they get to know after a few days, they think, oh, he's continuing. Even as a monk, I had so many names given to me. Like at Maharagama, I was in the room going to the Dhanashala, then I went Pindapata. And my brother monks came to me and said, they are telling you are very proud, Bhante. You are not coming and talking Maharagama Dharma. The first days when I was ordained, because I was already on a track when I was as a lay person. Even at home I used to go for dinner, go to my room, read the suttas, and that time it was very much. Sleep also, no sleep, can't sleep. I was so engrossed, less sleep. My grandma used to tell, rest, Putta, rest now, and I lie down, quickly get up after 3-4 hours. Like that it was there, and that was a very special time, that kind of practice. So, then this in Maharagama, I said, how can I do? Am I going to act now? I'm going to run outside or do something other than what I normally do? Then I just told them something like that. I continued, what can I do? Then I got a name Sakman Hamdu. But you know what happened? When Mahanayaka Hamdu, Venerable sir, passed away, they were all looking, even now they must be, I had no contact when I was going on my path. They were all, that time they were really feeling hopeful, they were all thinking, where is that Gnanaloka Bhante, or that Bhante we wanted to, because they are like, they are not put into the training immediately. They are in a burning house. Any time it can collapse. We are not having that wisdom actually. Finally, until it comes to so close, and then it's too late. This is very important. So different people, different backgrounds, how they are grown in samsara. I heard Bhante also was silent and so determined, when he came from, he was in Vajrarama, he was like 42 years old. Then because he had faced war, and just after war they were sent back to this place, sent back to Germany, and he had to struggle initially to get food, and it was all destroyed after the Second World War. And you can imagine he would have been, and it was no money to come back, to Sri Lanka. So he stayed for until who are the Asoka Veera. He was the translator when they came with the mission to Germany. And then he was taken as a train. He was going to be trained in, and then he was so intense. I heard people who saw him, talking to nobody, he used to be just down looking. He was already meditating one day. Sure. Then he was, and then Polgasno, we heard 10 years he used to not meet anybody. But I know he used to meet Gnanamoli Bhante and all that, they used to discuss. But I'm sure he had no interaction with, used to see him sweeping the Kutiyar and all. After 10 years only he started with Charika. So you can see, that he used to tell me, he had a vision of before life, like during the Crusaders or something like that, where because of the forcing of or the influence of his brothers and family, he has to be a soldier. And then how, they have this long, I don't know what you call they go like this, other side they will also, and then you have to hold, someone, so you have to harm like that. And that time he was not having the heart to do this thing, and then he got, and then so he was somebody who has done something in the war at that time, and he died. And then it came to his last moment, he said something like he regretted, because of this family, I did like this kind of thing, not wholesome, he passed away. And then he says that later on when that monument was there in Germany, that incident what happened with this, the memory came to him something like that. And that was working in his mind never to join this kind of, that's why he was trying to avoid the Second World War, the recruitment and all that. So luckily he didn't go to university because he failed Latin. He was not good in Latin, so those days he was telling me these things, because if you fail in some of these exams, no problem, it will be some good thing behind it. He was telling me in this way. So here he used to tell me like that. And then he wanted to do business and all that. He went to Hamburg, came to India, like that. He came to the Dhamma. So that urgency was there from previous life to see this. It will work in your mind. I think myself also, I would have been an old monk, and then I died. That's why at young age, I'm like full. That time, intense. So those days they used to tell, are you going to be an arahant and become a monk? Because they thought, why he's practicing and not ordained. Now I think it's better I even stayed more longer time, because I know the challenges it's there when you are practicing. It's not going to be, if you're practicing, you're going to have, but it's going to be joyful later, it's going to be really nice as you get older, because you see a greater possibility getting old. You are seeing you can practice more to more higher heights, and in a joyful way, and because already you have been this thing in the battlefield, battle worn, or what do you call that? Battle, yeah. There are so many things I had to experience. I don't know how to tell. In 2015 was especially, I nearly left the body. And also with defilements. Like Mara was coming behind me 2015. And it happened, it comes again in little form, it will be coming until you become Arahant, even after you. Even if you become Buddha, after Buddha, that will be there until you come to final Nibbana. You must not get frightened. And you must not be too overconfident to be like, you must protect yourself as well as you must, that ego makes you too much concerned of your mistakes or something. You think, oh, I did this, I did that. So you must learn to let go immediately. But you must make sure you're not going to repeat it. You're going to train further. And then like that you're one day going to become perfect. But here you are getting the full weapons, full practice training, types of training. This is the main weapon. You can't equal this weapon to anything. This is like the super atomic bomb to Mara. The Vipassana, even while you're reading now, your body, the hormones, they're all changing. Something is happening in you. Remember that. If we can measure that, a special thing that how many hours you are going to meditate, no, it's not going to happen. I told you how these people who have special vision, they told me, when I have read this and come, then only they said 90%. Otherwise they saw my meditation was no. How much I'm having samadhi. So I knew there is really something wrong. So I believe that you all, that when you leave this retreat, if you read, continue read, even if nothing happens the way you might feel, I know something has happened to you in a very great way. This is my firm conviction. While you can read, there will be a time you can't read. You can't, your eyes are not. I told you there was some in the last retreat. They used magnifying glass. I said, yes, while you have that much sight, just go through, just read and read. But this is now I'm reading, showing you how to apply also, reminding you how to do it, that you must do. This is not just reading, these are kammatthana. Continuously they are kammatthanas. Time is going very fast. Okay. 71, page 71. After 3-4 days something should happen to you all. I would ask whether it has happened. Okay. In your experiences when you must read, okay. If you don't read and if you keep just samadhi or something, it won't happen. You can't answer honestly. Something in your brain should happen after 4-5 days. 4-5 days by now. We only started yesterday, this reading thing of Kanda. Something should happen. We'll see after another 2-3 days I will ask about it. Bhikkhus, this is 71, Arahants. Bhikkhus, in clinging, one is bound by Mara. By not clinging, one is freed from the evil one. Understood, blessed one. Understood, fortunate one. In what way, Bhikkhus, do you understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by me in brief? In clinging to form, Venerable Sir, one is bound by Mara. By not clinging to it, one is freed from the evil one. In clinging to feeling, to perception, to volitional formations, to consciousness, one is bound by Mara. By not clinging to it, one is freed from the evil one. It is in such a way, Venerable Sir, that I understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by the Blessed One. Good, good, Bhikkhus, it is good. In 72, Venerable Sir, it would be good if the planet, because in conceiving, one is bound by Mara. By not conceiving, one is freed from the evil one. In what way, bhikkhus, do you understand in detail the meaning of what was stated? In conceiving form, Venerable Sir, one is bound by Mara. By not conceiving it, one is freed from the evil one. In conceiving feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, one is bound by Mara. By not conceiving it, one is freed from the evil one. It is in such a way, Venerable Sir, that I understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by the Blessed One. In seeking delight in form, because in seeking delight one is bound by Mara. By not seeking delight one is freed from the evil one. In what way, because do you understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by me? In seeking delight in form, Venerable Sir, one is bound by Mara. By not seeking delight in it, one is freed from the evil. In seeking delight in feeling, in perception, in volitional formations, in consciousness, one is bound. You must think yourself like empty, okay? Like you are empty, completely empty, and then you are coming to these experiences through your senses. The eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the consciousness arising. Now we are so used to being that, we are not used to being empty. Okay? So this kind of thing you must, and we must think how peaceful, how delightful to be free from something happening, to be empty, how happiness it is. So in seeking delight in form, Venerable Sir, one is bound by Mara. By not seeking delight in it, one is freed from the evil one. In seeking delight in feeling, in perception, in volitional formations, in consciousness, one is bound by Mara. So always delight can come to what? Not to emptiness, to Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vinyana. Body, feelings, perceptions like this. It's a very subtle thing you are going to know. You have to, it's a very subtle, it's like you must not try to think, just slightly think with the idea of letting go. You get a repulsive feeling, this is Mara, all these things is Mara. Okay? So if you don't find, you are now bound, even if you are, while you are eating, so much Mara is there, because it's so much, form is there, feelings are so much, feelings, perceptions are so much. You could call it a big Mara, big brother, big father Mara. When your foot, any strong sensation, it is a big Mara. Smaller the sensation, is smaller Mara, but yet is Mara. In this way, even the samadhi, even the peacefulness you are experiencing is Mara. So how much peaceful it is to let go of peacefulness also. This is the type of emptiness you are thinking about, that is Nibbana. Okay? At least mentally you must imagine, then you will realize it. You must get familiarized in this idea, this area of awareness. That's what you are doing now by reading this. In seeking delight in form, Venerable Sir, one is bound by Mara. By not seeking delight in it, one is freed from the evil one. In seeking delight in feeling, in perception, in volitional formations, in consciousness, one is bound by Mara. By not seeking delight in it, one is freed from the evil one. It is in such a way, Venerable Sir, that I understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by the Blessed One. 74. At Savatthi, there is a Venerable Sir, it would be good if the Blessed One would teach me the Dhamma in brief. Bhikkhus, you should abandon desire for whatever is impermanent. Understood, Blessed One, understood, Fortunate One. In what way, Bhikkhus, do you understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by me in brief? Form, Venerable Sir, is impermanent. I should abandon desire for it. Feeling is impermanent. Perception is impermanent. Volitional formations are impermanent. Consciousness is impermanent. I should abandon desire for it. It is in such a way, Venerable Sir, that I understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by the Blessed One. 75, Radha. Venerable Sir, how should one know, how should one see, so that in regard to this body, with consciousness and in regard to all external signs, I-making, mind-making, and the underlying tendency to conceit no longer occur within. Any kind of form whatsoever, rather, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, one sees all form as it really is with correct wisdom. Thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Any kind of feeling, any kind of perception, any kind of volitional form, any kind of consciousness. Now when Buddha says, like in whatever form, whether past, atita, anagata, pachuppana, internal means yours, what you call you, and what is external to you. Gross or subtle, it means maybe an elephant body or an ant's body. Okay? Inferior or superior, it could be like Deva, Brahmaloka body or Apayaloka body. Far or near. Okay, that's okay. That could be far as Brahmaloka or far as Australia. You can take any kind of far. Okay. One sees all, so to include all types, possibilities of form. That's what is the purpose of this. So you don't cling to anything. Or take it as me, anything. And in regard to all external signs, I-making, mind-making, and underlying tendency to conceive no longer occur within. Inferior or superior, far or near, one sees all form as it really is with correct wisdom. Thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. So it's applied to perceptions, volitional formations, consciousness, and so on. Okay. 94. There the Venerable Ananda addressed the bhikkhus thus, friends bhikkhus, this is the elders, 94 page, the elders, Friends, those bhikkhus replies, the Venerable Ananda said this. Friends, the Venerable Punna Mantani Putta was very helpful to us when we were newly ordained. He exhorted us with the following exhortation. It is by clinging Ananda that the notion I am occurs, not without clinging. And by clinging to what does I am occur, not without clinging. It is by clinging to form that I am occurs, not without clinging. It is by clinging to feeling, to perception, to volitional formations, to consciousness that I am occurs, not without clinging. I told you about that taxi driver. He clings so much to the taxi, he now talking with the taxi also. Okay? It's very interesting. That becomes a perverted. Actually, this whole thing is a perverted kind of, it's not real, even to our own body. A perversion in our mind. This idea of I. So it depends on the degree of craving inside us that creates this, I feeling, I idea. It is by clinging to feeling, to perception, to volitional formations, to consciousness that I am occurs, not without clinging. Suppose friend Ananda, a young woman or a man, youthful and fond of ornaments, would examine her own facial image in a mirror or in a bowl filled with pure, clear, clean water. She would look at it with clinging, not without. Yeah. Now they take selfie like this, no? I've seen some. I don't want to make that. I don't know how to. If I was alone, I would have made that. You see, sometimes. So that is how, you're just looking at your own reflection so much, with so much clinging. You want to look, you will make a special turn of your mouth. The way you think you look beautiful. Right? You don't want to look ugly, right? Because you so much cling to that, Suppose friend Ananda, a young woman or a man youthful and fond of ornaments, would examine her own facial image in a mirror or in a bowl filled with pure, clear, clean water. She would look at it with clinging, not without clinging. So too, it is by clinging to form that I am occurs, not without clinging. It is by clinging to feeling, to perception, to volitional formations, to consciousness that I am occurs. So much, very interesting. This is there for us from so long in this life and many lives. So, what do you think of friend Ananda? Is form permanent or impermanent? Now there's a way of looking at it. So it's impermanent. What is impermanent is suffering or happiness. It's suffering. What is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, can you call such a thing? This is me, this is I, this is myself. No, it's not possible. It is said, I think, that Venerable Ananda became Sotapanna by listening to the Dhamma through this his mentor. This Venerable Punna Mantani Putta, I think I've heard like that he became Sotapanna at that time. Today so much illusion is created, no? Just imagine selfies and all this with the phone, with this kind of device. Any device that is made, it has so much in the material world because it enhances more the Kama loka. And the opposite should happen. Kama vicheva kamme kusalatamme prathamadhyam piti sukha. Piti sukha. For those things to happen, the Kama, that's why I told you, if you are a yogi, even the scenery you will have more kayagata sati. and then pass by, and then you will get samadhi more easily. When you're walking, when you're going about. If you can even see the impure parts of your body and just not being much focused of what you're seeing from your eyes and ears, and just noting it, this is consciousness, eye consciousness, and not paying much. Just not to knock or not to be a disturbance to others. You are a little mindful to notice what is necessary, but other things no. Paying more attention to the kaya or something. That awareness, when you sit down to meditate, easily you will attain something more. That's where the journey starts. I told you yesterday, like whenever you have placed your attention to the present moment, and then you can go more to the make more awareness of what is body inside your body and all that, and be more conscious of it. Again, you have to remind, it won't come naturally. Then only your real type of attention and awarenesses start to build up, which leads to samadhi as well as wisdom. Real type of sati and all that starts to happen. And you will also become peaceful. You know, your walk, your behavior, all your things will be, will be affected by that peacefulness. That will come as an end result of that correct mindfulness and all that. That's samadhi already. So that means you're increasing the real focus, sati. If you're not increasing that, that means you're more increasing distractions. These other things are called distractions. And you're breaking the indriya sangara, sira, the iriyapate and all that. So which are the causes for samadhi, you're not doing. So then you not get samadhi. So these things will not, you have to remind yourself. Suddenly you go out of track. You have to remind again and again. Then you will find that reminder also becomes a kind of a habit in you. The ability to remind yourself, put yourself to the simple things. Why you learn to enjoy the walk. You learn to enjoy brushing your teeth. Even the toilet or whatever, whatever you are doing, the physical activity, enjoy means you begin to remind yourself to be aware of that simple functions. So these are, as a yogi, if you want to get some result, but just to do that alone is not enough. Then you have to, add that analyzing, reflecting, then only you will get that, deep wisdom, as possibility. Here we are coming to the one I wanted to 102. Anuradha. Friend Anuradha, when a Tathagata is describing a Tathagata, the highest type of person, the supreme person, the attainer of the supreme attainment, he describes him in terms of these 4 cases. The Bhikkhu Bodhi writes it in cases, no? It's 4 views. I don't know whether it will be right. I don't know how the Pali comes there. 4 views. Anyway, 4 cases. The Tathagata exists after death. Or the Tathagata does not exist after death. Or the Tathagata both exists and does not exist after death. Or the Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist after death. When this was said, the Venerable Anuruddha said to those wanderers, friends, when a Tathagata is describing, this is like a modern type of person, no? You want to. Friend, when a Tathagata is describing a Tathagata, the highest type of persons, the supreme person, the attainer of the supreme attainment, he describes him apart from these four cases. He is trying to give anyway an answer from their language, from their this thing. But he's giving an answer. This is not a question to be asked. That's when the Buddha explains later. It's very nice. You see, the wrong way of questioning. You're not getting, because while Buddha is alive also, there is no person. The question does not arise when you realize there is no person in reality, But when the Tathagata exists after death, or the Tathagata does not exist after death, or the Tathagata both exists and does not exist after death, or the Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist after death. When this was said, okay, so he's telling, other than this, this Venerable Anuruddha said to those wanderers, friend, when a Tathagata is describing a Tathagata, the highest type person, attainer of the supreme attainment, he describes him apart from these four cases. So he's telling another view, okay? When this was said, those wanderers said to the Venerable Anuruddha, this bhikkhu must be a newly ordained. They also realized actually. Not long gone forth. So if he is an elder, he must be an incompetent fool. Then those wanderers of those other sects have denigrated the Venerable Anuruddha with the term newly ordained and fool, rose from their seats and departed. I remember once there was a very nice professor we met. He was food for me, like very few when I was really, this was a time when I was doing my real meditation for 15, 16 years old. So it was through physics and science, but I'm thinking in these lines. Actually, I was interested in speeds of, because I got to know about the relativistic effect of time and all that near the speed of light, and so through that, I found my own idea. It was logical. Like if something goes faster than the speed of light, according to mathematics, it goes back in time. So I related that to memory. Then I thought there's some particle that goes like that, and then it goes back in time, and intuition like that, and it goes to a point where you can go where time stops. So there was one professor who really encouraged, like luckily my father, used to invite certain, people. He wanted to get promotions, so he used to invite. But this professor got really interested with me, and I got interested with him. And he was from Yugoslavia, I remember. So in the hotel, when we went to pick him up, immediately he saw a young boy and the father. So he asked me, he makes you think, very interesting. He asked me that time, how many fingers can you see? Okay, then how many fingers like this? I said, yes, 5. Then he asked, now how many? Like this he was doing. Now how many fingers can you see? So I knew there was a trick thing here. Of course it looks what? 4. So I said 10, 11 like this. Someone like this, same way I said like that. But what this thing was? How many fingers you see? 5 again. Because you see 1, 2, just because I bend this finger like this. So it doesn't mean I can still see 5. So if you listen properly, so he to just do a little bit like this. So in case I said 5, maybe he turned like this. So anyway, but he encouraged me once. Then I told my line of thinking those days. During the dinner, we were talking a long time. And later on, my father was waiting. I don't want to tell. It's not nice, but now he's a special person, he's like really calmed down, and I'm very happy for what is happening to him. So anyway, he told me not to think too much about this. Because he knew that this is like, it's infinite. He knew, he had some idea, this is an infinity experience. So normally scientists also, they think, actually he was a scientist, and astronautical I think, and but he was a special scientist, not this kind of, who are like academic. He was really thinking out of the box. So he told me not to think about this too much. Just know it's okay, it's correct. And I overheard him telling that time, something about telling my father that, I could study more physics and it would be good. And I was interested in physics because it was more closer to what I was searching for. But these are all, roundabout. Never recommend that. You can go in a wrong path and your mind can go, finish. This also, if it's not done with meditation, these suttas also is going to lead to. It will get boring. You will go to Abhidhamma or something like that. You just continue to learn. To get an experience through words, you will try. Continue. And it will be a constant search with doubt. But once you have tasted experience, it could be one verse. So you have to be patient. You should be forced in this kind of environment where you are stressed again and again just to read it. You be in that, then there is a possibility where you will not get distracted spiritually also, reading this book, that book, getting this idea. Not today, not reading, going through the phone, this one talking about this Dhamma, that Dhamma, like that. So if you're focused, if you get this experience, it will be okay. If you don't also, you might think, look, we had a book study with Bhante for 10 days. I'm never going to step in there. Yeah, it could happen. This looks like a book study. Someone did mention, I was thinking, yes, okay. And then someone explains, I guess, no, Bhante has this experience. So they are also attached to me. Why they have to convince anyone? You can't, In India, they warned me already. Venerable, go like an elephant. Now when things are, when some things are rising and this thing, there will be dogs barking all over. But go like an elephant. Elephant does not care about the dog. It can go on. This is nature of the human world. But the better way I would do is, why you become an elephant? How can you become an elephant? If you see the Rupa Vedana Sama as not being what I. This is the way you can be an elephant in this Dhamma. You will have no feeling of praise or blame, pleasure or sadness. You keep yourself pure, peaceful and content. Something I wish for you all practically. I have known people who have come, only few people I hear what they are going through. Like, I know yesterday I told they couldn't remove their sorrow or the loss of a dear one, a sister, because they had no this training, this practice they have not done. So I found later on, that's after the retreat only they found that they were able to really, because the mithya dushti is taken away, wrong view is taken away. And when the wrong view is taken away, the attachment should go if it's the proper way you have done it. This is the purpose of not to get some knowledge, is to remove the cause of suffering, craving, attachment in your personal life. And that way you get purified. If you are attached and sad, you can go on for years and until your life ends if you don't do these practices. Even if you have gone through tremendous suffering and if you become awakened and realize like this, then you find you look so fresh, you not identify anything or bring anything from the past. But someone who has even not gone through so much suffering will make so much suffering out of the past because he's so much pondering about it. And thinking small matters also, thinking very, in a petty way. Oh, this one did this to me, this happened to me. Especially when you get old, they blame this relation because they feel they have not achieved something, they have not made their house, or so then suddenly a son starts making somehow that, to please the mother and all that. I think the best thing to send that mother to a retreat. And then, then immediately they find what it is. Until that thinking is cleared, you are going to always, because of your small mind and samma mithya ditti, This happens in real life so much. Now, I don't regret, I neglected my studies. I neglected even the job, a little 2 years I did. Just I did for the namesake, just to do this. So if I look back and think, do I regret? No, nothing. But if I didn't do this, I would regret. I think the most worthwhile time I had was the moment I had some experience in South Africa about the Anityata, which started my journey. And then other few count where I can count, but moments of clearly seeing this Dhamma. These are only valuable. Other things are only. If you thought they were valuable at the moment of death, there's a singer is saying, no, karapu dekut na no karapu dekut. Okay, we go into this. We are still not. For some, the sleepy time is coming already. Because after close to 8, and especially when you are in these retreats, it used to happen to me in my initial days, well, I had good fresh time during the day, but so much more sleep than ever, close to 8. But we didn't have this kind of, Bhante used to tell, read this, read that, and we go to our kuti. You will get such time, you must get that time, then only things start working. I am too much spoon feeding, okay? So, okay, then not long after those wanderers had left, it occurred to the Venerable Anuruddha, if those wanderers of other sects should question me further, how should I answer? If I am to state what has been said by the Blessed One and not misrepresent him with what is contrary to fact, and how should I explain in accordance with the Dhamma so that no reasonable consequence of my assertion would give ground for criticism? Then the Venerable Anuruddha approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side, and reported to the Blessed One everything that had happened, asking, if those wanderers of other sects should question me further, how should I answer, so that no reasonable consequence of my assertion would give ground for criticism? What do you think, Anuruddha? Is form permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. What is impermanent? Impermanent, is it happiness or suffering? Suffering, Venerable Sir. What is impermanent? Suffering, subject to change. Can you call, this is me, this is I, this is myself. This is not written here, but you must know this is what it means. And you must go through that exercise when you are reading it on your own. What do you think, Anuruddha? Do you regard form as the Tathagata? This is very interesting now. Okay? What do you think, Anuruddha? Do you regard the form as the Tathagata? No, Venerable Sir. Do you regard feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness as the Tathagata? No, Venerable Sir. What do you think, Anuruddha? Do you regard the Tathagata as informed? No, Venerable Sir. Do you regard the Tathagata as apart from form? No, Venerable Sir. Do you regard the Tathagata as in feeling, as apart from feeling, as in perception, as apart from perception, as in volitional formation, as apart from volitional formations, as in consciousness, as apart from consciousness? No, Venerable Sir. What do you think, Anuruddha? Do you regard form, feeling, perception, volitional formations and consciousness taken together as the Tathagata? No, Venerable Sir. What do you think, Anuruddha? Do you regard the Tathagata as one who is without form, without feeling, without perception, without volitional formations, without consciousness? No, Venerable Sir. But Anuruddha, when the Tathagata is not apprehended by you as real and actual here in this very life, is it fitting for you to declare, friends, when a Tathagata is describing a Tathagata, the highest type of person, the supreme person, the attainer of the supreme attainment, he describes him apart from these four cases. the Tathagata exists after death and so on and so on. No Venerable Sir. We'll think about that sutta a little bit and we might wind off now. Okay. Just think about that what you have read. Actually, I was told by some of my advisors, what I call invisible or whoever they are, that very important to read and keep silent for some time to get the idea that this has to be contemplated. Okay? But I'm sure you have got the point. I've seen some walking, reading, this is the right thing to be done in silence. This has to be pondered in your walking meditation. This is not looking at your feet. That also should be brought to few seconds. Just so that your attention is to the present moment. Even while you're seated, you must do that. Even while you're lying down in bed or something and reading, which I normally used to do a lot, but then also you must remind yourself to bring to the moment. And then while you're reading, learn to apply and just keep reading. And then some of it you must do the sakman and try to think about it while doing the sakman. It's more of a thinking about it in your sakman. Keep a little bit silence. I want to do 2 more suttas. Let's see, quickly we'll do it. 115. Because suppose there was a mountain river sweeping downward, flowing into the river, right? 115, the river. Because suppose there was a mountain river sweeping downwards, flowing into the distance with a swift current, if on either bank of the river kasa grass or kusa grass were to grow, it would overhang it. If rushes, reeds or trees were to grow, they would overhang it. If a man being carried along by the current should grasp the kasa grass, it would break off and he would thereby meet with calamity and disaster. If he should grasp the kusa grass, it would break off and he would thereby meet with calamity and disaster. If he should grasp the rushes, reeds or trees, they would break off and he would thereby meet with calamity and disaster. So too, because the uninstructed worldling regards form as self, or self as possessing form, or form as himself, or self as in form, that form of his disintegrates and he thereby meets with calamity and disaster. He regards feeling as self, perception as self, volitional formations as self, consciousness as self, or self as possessing consciousness, or consciousness as himself, or self as in consciousness. That consciousness of his disintegrates and he thereby meets with calamity and disaster. What do you think? Because is form permanent or impermanent? 117, the lump of form. Oh, we can read the other one also, it's a good one. 116, the second one, the flowers. because I do not dispute with the world, rather it is the world that disputes with me. The proponent of Dhamma does not dispute with anyone in the world. Of that which the wise in the world agree upon as not existing, I too say that it does not exist. And of that which the wise in the world agree upon as existing, I too say that it exists. And what is it because that the wise in the world agree upon as not existing, of which I too say that it does not exist? Form that is impermanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, this is the wise in the world agree upon as not existing. And I too say that it does not exist. Feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, that is permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change, this the wise in the world agree upon as not existing. And I too say that it does not exist. Okay? That because is what the wise in the world agree upon as not existing, of which I too say that it does not exist. And what is it because that the wise in the world agree upon as existing, of which I too say that it exists? Form that is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, this the wise in the world agree upon as existing, and I too say that it exists. Feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, that is impermanent, suffering and subject to change, this the wise in the world agree upon as existing, and I too say that it exists. That because is what the wise in the world agree upon as existing, of which I too say that it exists. There is because a world phenomena in the world to which the Tathagata has awakened and broken through. Having done so, he explains it, teaches it, proclaims it, establishes it, discloses it, analyzes it, elucidates it. And what is that world phenomena in the world to which the Tathagata has awakened and broken through? Form because is a world phenomena in the world to which the Tathagata has awakened and broken through. Having done so, he explains it, teaches it, proclaims it, establishes it, discloses it, analyzes it, elucidates it. When it is being thus explained and elucidated by the Tathagata, if anyone does not know and see, how can I do anything with that foolish worldling, blind and sightless, who does not know and does not see? Feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness is a world phenomenon in the world to which the Tathagata has awakened and broken through. Having done so, he explains it, teaches it, proclaims it, establishes it, discloses it, analyzes it, elucidates it. When it is being thus explained and elucidated by the Tathagata, if anyone does not know and see, how can I do anything with that foolish worldling, blind and sightless, who does not know and does not see? Because just as blue, red or white lotus is born in the water and grows up in the water, but having risen up above the water, it stands unsullied by the water. So too the Tathagata was born in the world, grew up in the world, but having overcome the world, he dwells unsullied by the world. This is the last one we are going to read. And this can become your Kamathan also. No, you must read from where you stopped. You must read all of it, right? And contemplate. I'm just skipping and reading here and there. In the same page, a lump of foam, 117, same page, a lump of foam. The next sutta. I was also near the river Ganges before coming, but not in the Ayodhya area. It's interesting, those days, Buddha and so many Sangha in India. Because suppose that this river, Ganges, was carrying along a great lump of foam. A man with a good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a lump of foam? So too, bhikkhus, whatever kind of form there is, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a bhikkhu inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in form? Suppose, bhikkhus, that in the autumn, when it is raining and big raindrops are falling, a water bubble arises and bursts on the surface of the water. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a water bubble? You must just picture it, how it forms and just like bursts into nothing. Same way feelings are like that. Whatever feeling you will experience. What you have experienced also has been like that. Just a moment, it's just become empty. So too, bhikkhus, whatever kind of feeling there is, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a bhikkhu inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in feeling? So to practice this while you are reading, you must try to notice an immediate feeling you are experiencing also, so that you learn to apply this. Get an idea of watching it happening in you and awakening wisdom about the experience. So that you have to do it, not just reading it and having that idea also, but you must try to relate it to the present moment, any kind of very prominent experience you are going through. Maybe the wind that is touching for me now from the fan, or any memory you are getting about an experience, a feeling you had with something, or this past and the present only you can take. And you must apply this simile. Okay? Suppose, bhikkhus, that in the last month of the hot season, at high noon, a shimmering mirage appears. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a mirage? So too, bhikkhus, whatever kind of perception there is, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, bhikkhus inspect it, ponders it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in perception? Suppose, bhikkhus, that a man needing heartwood, seeking heartwood, wandering in search of heartwood, would take a sharp axe and enter a forest. There he would see the trunk of a large plantain tree, straight, fresh, without fruit bud core. He would cut it down at the root, cut off the crown, and unroll the coil. As he unrolls the coil, he would not find even softwood, let alone hardwood. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a trunk of plantain tree? So too, bhikkhus, whatever kind of volitional formations there are, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a bhikkhu inspects them, ponders them, and carefully investigates them. As he investigates them, they appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in volitional formations? Suppose, bhikkhus, that a magician or a magician's apprentice would display a magical illusion at a crossroads. A man with good sight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in magical illusion? So too, bhikkhus, whatever kind of consciousness there is, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a bhikkhu inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it would appear to him to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in consciousness? Seeing thus the bhikkhu, the instructed noble disciple experiences revulsion towards form, revulsion towards feeling, revulsion towards perception, revulsion towards volition formation, revulsion towards consciousness. Experiencing revulsion, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge, is liberated. He understands, destroyed his birth, the holy life had been lived, what had to be done has been done, there is no more for this state of being. This is an arahant. When they have experienced that, they proclaim that.